It still gets on my nerves that women would just act out instead of thinking about what they're doing.
Somewhere right now in this very space, a rape is occurring because we know that rapes occur every 6 minutes.
This is an issue not about the spectacularities of rape and violence, but it's about what happens to black women's bodies.
I still to this day experience sexual terrorism.
There are incidents of physical violence against women.
When you see a woman who's making an accusation of sexual assault, it can be very easy, I think, to fall into this trap of saying, why was she doing this? What was she wearing? And finding some way to structure it to make it her fault.
It was done, and he was in jail for harassing me.
The idea that there are potentially female students here who are being harassed, really terrorized, I believe that truly is a form of sexual terrorism, and how that can happen on a very campus that one of its aims is supposed to be to protect these young women.
I said, well, what about the times when girls come over and you get them drunk and you have sex with them? That's not rape. I said, it's not? You're taking advantage of these women. He said, but I'm not raping them. They consented. I said, but are they in their right minds when they're saying yes? I don't know. I said, well then, how do you know that you're not raping them? And I said, what happens when they wake up in the morning and they don't remember what happened? I remember he had a situation like that in sophomore year where he was telling me some girl woke up, didn't know where she was, totally delusional. Don't you think there's something wrong with that?
Two black elite institutions, a place where quiet as it's kept and no one really wants to talk about it this way. There's been a long-standing social contract between the women at Spelman and the men at Morehouse, between black women in any elite institution and black men in any elite institution, that says that you are here for our service, politically, culturally, socially, economically, sexually. And the women here on Spelman's campus dared to break that social contract. And that's why the men at Morehouse are upset, right? It's that social contract that black men have used to push forward an agenda that has rarely recognized the concerns of black women in our communities, but has always been concerned about issues of patriarchy and the idea that patriarchy creates a kind of safe haven for what we want to do within the black community.
I came to Spelman College in 1962. And if there's any culture that I think I understand, it's this one. From my vantage point, the only way to have any success disrupting these old traditions is for Spelman to first of all acknowledge that there is a social contract which positions Spelman always in a complicit relationship with Morehouse College. We can never speak about Morehouse in problematic ways. We are very careful about upsetting Morehouse, and this is not just administration. Students in Spelman are so invested in their personal and collegial and other relationships with Morehouse College.
There was accusations going around. There was persons in shirts saying, Morehouse raped me. And how do you come as an equal coalition partner and say, hey, I want to foster a dialogue with you, and genuinely say, hey, please reciprocate that idea, those thoughts? That's not true, because you're naturally put on the defense. First off, the student body wasn't alerted. Secondly, the administration wasn't alerted that this was happening in the middle of an SGA event in which we were electing our officers. It was just huge rudeness and disruption that took place, and that was why the apology was requested in the Senate Bill 001. Say, hey, we want to foster the healing process. How do we do that? We stand in solidarity.
On a campus that prides itself with its allegiance to the civil rights movement and to Martin Luther King and to the struggle, the request for an apology for people that feel that they are experiencing an injustice to rally and to have voice is very contradictory and very sad.
People at Morehouse College who basically saw this as Spelman College joining the global media onslaught on Morehouse College. Our alma mater was under attack, and we decided that defense was necessary.
this is a danger. Don't you think this is dangerous for you to talk about this in front of white people, to raise these questions that make it seem as if black men are dangerous, that play into all the stereotypes that racist white people may have about black men? And my answer to that is that's really not the problem. Thinking about what are the PR aspects, what are the aspects of how other people think about black men is not the issue. The issue is how black men think about themselves, how black men think about their behavior toward black women.
You don't go act on anger. You can't just lash out, and it still gets on my nerves that women would just act out instead of thinking about what they're doing. Because we could have seriously made that movement positive. If they would have alerted everybody peacefully, they could have talked about it, we could have had a meeting of awareness, and there wouldn't be so much anger involved.
I think most of the women that we received a lot of backlash from, they're still in the mindset of like, you know, we have to be silent, you know, you're accusing them, you should stand with them. There's no balance in the relationships that we have with each other. So don't just jump to look at us as if, you know, we demonized our black men. No, we're doing this to protect you, you know, in the event that it happens, because it can happen to you. It can happen to you. It can happen to any one of us, and it has happened to some of us.
Those of us who are in the privileged group, whether it's racial groups, whether it's class groups, gender groups, the advantaged group typically responds to noise from the disadvantaged group that's supposed to bring your attention to the problems, the things that disadvantage that group, by saying, well, why are you so angry?
Anger is so important when we struggle. And so being angry and being brave are central ingredients of transformation. If we cannot be angry about violation, then we cannot take ourselves to the place that enables us to begin the transformation.